Hi, it's James here from GAC. I'm our in-store Roland product specialist, and I'm here with Andy.
Hello.
Who is our pro audio specialist for Roland in the UK. And we are here with a really, really exciting product, the Fantom. It's back.
Yeah.
So the past few years, I've been getting loads and loads of phone calls, and we at GAC keep getting asked about the Fantom, and it's back, it's here, so I'm really, really excited.
Yeah.
But we are going to give you the top 5 reasons why you should buy a Roland Fantom. Number 1, you can split and layer up to 16 instruments at one time. What exactly does that mean?
So we have, on the left-hand side here of the Fantom, we have got a number of sliders which we can use to assign sounds. But as you say, you can do up to 16 sounds at once, which is amazing. So this patch that we've got here, this has got 4 sounds layered together. And we can adjust the levels, we can take them down if I just want to have one on its own, or swap for a different sound. I can do. But you can combine up to 16, so to bring in other levels you just turn on different parts, and then we also have a zone select at the top here to see the other 8 zones at the same time. And if you go to zone view on here, we can either see just 1 sound, 4, 8 or our 16 together, and it's really, really easy to sort of mix and match different sounds. On the Fantom, one of the big things is that there's no mode, so we're not working in like a single sound mode or like a dual or a split or something like that, so it's all seamless. Whichever scene you go in, you can have up to 16 sounds, so it's great for that.
And those who have used an RD2000 before will probably recognise the way this is laid out. So obviously we've doubled the amount of zones that you get. Each zone can have its own individual effect. So say for instance here, at the moment you can see that there's top LEDs selected. That means we're editing just zone 1, and then we can put an effect on there. And it can be different on every single zone. We've also got master effects as well, so if you know your delays and your reverbs you want to match, then you still can.
Yeah.
But what's even cooler is obviously, and people who use workstations in a live scenario, we know that a lot of the time if you're working with an artist who may already have a track or already have parts or even have sounds or patches that they've made on an external sound, you can still control those with these zones.
Yeah. Which is a super, super cool thing about it. So if we go to a different patch here, so we have just got I think a piano sound go. And say we want to bring in some sounds from an external source, so we've got a laptop with main stage running at the same time. So like, as you say, like a lot of people like musical directors, people who play in function bands, they'll obviously have maybe a lot of samples or sounds from different sources that we want to bring in. But this is really easy. So we've got our main piano sound on here, and if we press shift and number 2, so it goes green, now we're going to bring in an external layer. But what's super cool about this is we just hit DAW control, and then straight away we can see a condensed version of main stage on the screen on here. So we can select our different patches and go through different things, and you can see it's changing on the laptop at the same time. So now if we have our piano sound, we can bring in this pad sound which is just coming from main stage, but we can also control it on the screen. So if I go into my assign mode, if I wanted to change something like the cutoff frequency of the pad, I can change it straight from the knobs on here or from the screen itself, and it automatically pre-maps, so you don't have to worry about assigning anything yourself, which is really, really cool.
Number 2, it's got a really, really interactive touchscreen. So we can use this for quite a few things. So of course, the first and most obvious is getting around the menus is really, really clear. So the touchscreen is really, really intuitive. So again, we've obviously got all of our scenes here. We can get through here to all the different menus and things like that. But what's even cooler is we can actually do some really interesting controls. So for instance, if we go to here, which is called motional pad, those who remember the D50, it's kind of a similar type thing where you're kind of using the jog wheel or the stick to actually go between different parts within that scene. But this time we've put it on a touchscreen.
On a touchscreen, yeah. So if we have this sound which has got sort of four sounds layered together, we can use this to sort of go between different sections of the sound and adjust it in real time. You can even set it going on auto. So it adjusts in real time itself. But what's cool is you can then go into edit and you can choose how much it favors different areas. So we've got it set quite extreme at the moment, so it's going from 0 to full value for each of the different scenes, but you can set it for sort of more milder amounts if you just want to have a little bit of modulation between sounds, which is pretty cool. Again, like we have it on hold at the moment, so wherever we let go of our finger, that's where it will remain. But if you wanted to, you could just have it so it's in the center, and you can snap back so that if you just want to have a quick parameter change, you can do, which is really cool for live performance. Another super cool thing about it is we can adjust things like envelopes and filters through using the touchscreen as well. So if we grab our filter control on here, if we use any of the encoders, they're really, really high resolution, so they have 1024 steps, but whilst it's on the screen there, we can also use that to change the cutoff frequency as well. Maybe take some resonance out there. And likewise, using it for adjusting the envelopes and everything on there, we can sort of we can grab those and adjust those in real time as well. So we can really sculpt our sounds not only with the hands-on controls, but also using that touchscreen as well, which is really good.
Number 3, it's got a massive synthesizer section. So with any, top end or professional standard stage piano or workstation, you have to have a massive synth section.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like producers or songwriters, a lot of you want to make your own sounds, of course. So with our synth section here, you can access everything you need from the actual parameters on the keyboard itself, but the screen allows you to get into a lot more detail as well.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we're in our virtual analog synth sound, and we have initialized a patch. So we're starting from the ground up.
Literally just got a saw wave. And yeah, as you say, like if we wanted to build up a thing, so within one of our sounds, we can have 4 partials. So a partial is just sort of one oscillator together, but with that we can have its own filter, we can have its own envelopes and 2 LFOs with that. Within one sort of one tone, we can have 4 partials, and then if you think about when we said before, we can have 16 tones stacked up to make a scene, so that means we can actually have a total of 64 oscillators and 128 LFOs, which is amazing, which is brilliant. But like you say, if we want to make a bit of a quick patch on here, so we've got one oscillator, which is a saw wave. Let's bring in a second one and make that a saw wave as well. So, and let's detune them a little bit. So if we go to 1 and sort of tweak it down a few cents, and this one, we'll tune that up a little bit, bring them both in, and we should, oops, he says, should have now a bit of a thicker kind of sound, which is cool. And then we have a huge variety of choice of filters. So using these hands-on controls, like you say, workstations, people always want a lot of control with synths, but there's never been one really before that has this level of hands-on control for the synth parameters, like a direct control for them. We can quickly access our cutoff, which is super, super smooth controls. So these all have a resolution of 1024 steps, so super, super detailed. But we have loads of different types of filters that we can choose. So we can choose different types of low pass ones, vintage style filters as well. And high pass and low pass filters, band pass filters, peaking filters, whatever you want, which is brilliant. We can have quick access to our envelopes. So if we wanted to adjust, say, things like our amp envelope, we can adjust it straight from the controls on there by hitting amp envelope and then changing it on there. But as we did before, we can also adjust the parameters sort of by drawing the envelope on the screen. And this is a really cool style of envelope because you've actually got 5 points, so not just a tap, decay, sustain, release, you have a 5th point. So you can see on the structure here, we can have one bit of fading in, a decay, and then another portion of fading in. So you can get really, really detailed with your synthesizer sounds. And I say very, very quick to access those different sounds. So whatever mode you're in, or whatever, sorry, not a mode because there are no modes on it, but whatever point you're playing on, you have quick access to those synthesizer controls. You can just adjust them on the fly, and anytime you want to get to that scene, the screen, sorry, there's no deep diving, you just hit parameter and it takes you straight to that screen as well, so very quickly, easy to see that, so really powerful.
Number 4, it has a really, really powerful sequencer. So it has built in the TRS sequencer, so things you'll find on the TR8S or TR8. And it also has a pattern sequencer. So, it being a workstation, obviously you're going to be running the gig if you're, kind of in that kind of MD role in a session band or something like that. So you've got to run the backing track in as easy a way as possible. So we've got you covered, basically. So if we're going to program in a drum beat, let's go into the TR record mode here. And you can see instantly the actual drum kit comes up. So we have a TR 909. And any key that you press, it selects on the screen. So say we want to program in our kick drum. So you just literally press, it will remember the last one you pressed, and then we just put in the pattern. So, and then we can then select between the different things and put them in.
Something like that. And we can then adjust different parameters and stuff. So say, for instance, if you wanted to change different aspects about it, so say, well, I like the sound of the open hi-hat, but I want to have it a bit filtered, you can adjust the cutoff and resonance of each individual instrument. And maybe if you think, well, actually, I don't like the sound of the kick drum, so if you select the kick drum, you could choose a different type of kick drum. So if we hit the value dial on our oscillator section, we could swap it out for sort of a more boomy style 808 kick, or a different type of distorted one or something like that. So let's choose just a slight variation that's got a little bit more punch to it, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we've kind of got our pattern down there. If we wanted to, you could change the scaling. So if you wanted to put in like some 30-second note hi-hats or something like that. Nice. Cool. So yeah, so that's quite easy to put our drum beat down, but then we can build up something else on top of it if we wanted to. So, sorry, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so what we can do is, obviously now we want to record a bass part. So you can traditionally kind of record it in the same way as a step sequencer. So if you want to do it note by note and then put in the rhythm. Or obviously, is a keyboard, assuming that you can probably play, we can actually perform the part. So we are going to come out of the TR record mode and we're going to select part 2. And now, if we press record, we get to our standby screen. So if you've used an FA before, it's kind of very similar to that. And here we've got basically all the details of whether we want to quantize, if we want a count in when we press record, all those kind of things. So
just, yeah,
let's
put
in,
quantize if you want.
and we can go to the grid.
And yeah, and then when you hit start, because we set a count in of 1, we'll get a count in. 1, 2. But yeah, very quick and easy to get like a little pattern down. And this is taking us now to our pattern screen, which shows you all the different patterns that we've created so far. And if you wanted to, you can just hear sort of an individual one on its own, or we can launch a couple of them at the same time, so we can hear both of them together at the same time, which is cool. Just go to a different example of one that we kind of prepared a little bit earlier.
How Blue Peter of you.
How very Blue Peter of me as well. So just to show a bit of an example of how you can use things with the scene. So here's a bit of a song that we've kind of put together. And if I just pull down all our faders, we can show you the different elements that we've got going on. So I'm going to just launch all of these together at the same time. And I think we've got some drums on here. That's a bit of a drum roll. In fact, I'll just go to the next scene on this one, and then we can bring in shakers, and we've got sort of different pads, and we've got like a bass sound going here. And we have like a lead sound, which we can sort of play along to. And bring in patterns that way. But what's really cool about the sequencer on this one is that we can group different patterns together. So for instance, what I've created a grouping for this. So where I've labeled the different kind of sections. So for things like my intro, it just contains one of the instruments, but then I've got different things of the build-up section. I can then audition to what that sounds like. So these are the different kind of patterns that I've got going on here. And if I'm happy with that, I can then use that to make a song. So if I go to my song mode, rather than it being sort of a traditional kind of sequencer that you'd find in like a DAW, it's more of a pattern-based one. So we can take all of those grouped patterns together and load them into a song. So you can see on here for my structure, I've got it to play the intro once and then my other sections to go through one time. And if I wanted to add additional patterns to it, I just go to my make song. And then I can choose to say if I want to go back to, well, actually, I want to go and repeat this drop on here. I just put add, and it adds it on here. And then I can add one of the others. Maybe I want to go back to the intro, add that in, and use that to sort of build up a structure of a song. So it's really, really powerful to get complex ideas down very quickly using the pattern sequencer.
Number 5. Now, this is probably the most important and most obvious, but the sounds. So the sounds within this keyboard are absolutely amazing. And we've got quite a lot that we've crammed in there. So
yeah,
Andy, go.
Absolutely, yeah. So the big key thing is it has 4 BMC chips which are powering it. So it's almost like you have 4 computers. One of the sound engines, we have a V-piano sound engine, which if you check out the playing example video, you can hear some great examples of Reed playing the piano. And this is one whole chip is dedicated just to that V-piano engine, so you have such control and power over it. We have quick access to things like our string resonance, damper controls on the front. You can adjust the sound to be whatever you like, and you never run out of polyphony when you're using the V-piano engine because it's all completely modeled in super, super high resolution detail. In addition to the V-piano, it has a really incredibly powerful synthesizer engine, which is powered by a brand new technology called Zencore. Which is a superbly detailed synthesizer engine. And this all runs through an incredible analog to digital conversion. So this keyboard just sounds phenomenal in the room. You really need to check it out in person just to hear how good it sounds when you're running through things. So it has these amazing engines, and the great thing about the Zencore power engine is that we have seamless patch remain. So because we talked earlier on that we could have sort of 4 up to 16 different sounds layering at the same time, but those have all of their effects running, and you don't have to worry about sort of it dropping patches if you're changing. You get to the end of a gig and you're holding a big chord, I can then select different sounds and it keeps holding it for me. In case I think, oh, I've played the wrong one, or the singer says let's go to a different one, we can then go do that, and it'll give us seamless patch change throughout the gig, which is awesome.
So there we have it. Those are the 5 reasons why you should buy a Roland Fantom. I've been James from Roland.
I've been Andy from Roland.
And you can check this keyboard out at GAK. Just don't forget to like and subscribe this video.